Welcome to Rhythm and Justice Television. I'm your host, Salim Adofo, and today we are here with the Greater Washington Urban League's Thursday Network. We have President Shimoniak and Vice President Stewart. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Rhythm and Justice Television. I'm your host, Salim Adofo, and like I said earlier, we are here with the Thursday Network. How are you all doing today?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you all for coming on the show. We want to get you all on the show for quite some time now. And we have here Ms. lovely Kristen. Tell us where you're from.
I'm from a small town called Aliquippa, Pennsylvania.
When you say small town, how small is small?
Small, it's a coal town. It's about, I'll say, 100,000 people.
They got stoplights?
We have stoplights downtown.
Oh, that's downtown?
Yeah, anywhere else it's just stop signs.
Okay.
Everybody knows everybody. It's one big family that everybody knows. They own the street. It's a black town, one high school, one elementary school, really small, really community oriented. So, yeah.
And where you from, Mr. Jones?
I'm from the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, a town called Stockbridge, Georgia. We do have stoplights.
I'm sure the experiences growing up were quite different for both of you. What was your experience like growing up?
My mom is a trauma doctor. My dad has always been in politics, so doing things around the community has kind of always been ingrained into me. You know, we go to church and then we go to we go to soup kitchens, so always doing something within the community outside of playing football through high school.
Were you able to go to college?
Yep. Went to American University in Washington, D.C.
What did you study?
National security and politics.
Oh, wow.
I'm learning all this stuff. I didn't know this. This is great. So my parents are pastors, two pastors in a small town, but they always had a heart for the community. So I grew up being instilled of serving your community, serving others. I actually spent a lot of my childhood in Jamaica. My mom has an orphanage there. So when I wasn't in Aliquippa, I was in Jamaica serving, serving the people there, which transpired into me being a leader. Now, in the summers, I go back and teach in Jamaica.
Wow. Where'd you go to school?
Indiana University of Pennsylvania for undergrad, and then I went to Pitt, University of Pittsburgh for grad.
And what did you study?
Undergrad, athletic training and sports medicine. And then I got bamboozled into grad school and studied special education, autism with the autism specialization.
Wow, that's
and early
really
intervention. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but it was my calling, I guess.
And what led you to the Thursday Network?
So in Pittsburgh, I always wanted to get involved, and then I heard about their Young Professionals program in Pittsburgh with the Urban League, and then I moved. I had to move here for work. And so I got some emails from something about a Martin Luther King Day event, and I joined it, and it was Thursday Network's event, and I was like, this is where I need to be. Like, everyone was friendly, they're serving the community, their mission was great, so I joined that week. And I'm here now.
And what brought you in?
Similar. I moved to Washington, D.C. and was kind of looking for a young professional organization to be a part of. And I actually reached out. Kristen had posted something online, and I was like, what is this Thursday Network thing? And she was like, you should come out and check it out. And there was an event that they had, and I came out and checked it out and been hooked ever since.
Well, big shout out to the social media team for making sure that we can get content online. And as president, what is your role in the organization?
My role is to lead the organization as well as maintain the mission and vision of the Greater Washington Urban League, as well as our Thursday Network pillars that we set each term, making sure that the membership is well served and that our board stays in alignment.
Now, what are those pillars?
We have 4 pillars this year. So our first pillar is community and political advocacy. So we not only want to, teach the community members how to be their own voice, but also engage those local elected officials and let them know what their community needs and how they can advocate for their community. And then we have youth empowerment, which is our future generation. So when we're gone, we need to make sure that our kids and the next generation know how to lead and advocate for themselves and create a better community. And then we have social determinants of health. So we're focusing not only on the lack of insurance, but also the things that affect everyone's day-to-day health, whether it's access to health care, education, environmental issues. So we work a lot with environmental justice as well as economic stability, and that's our other pillar too. So we want not only for us to be debt free, but also to circulate the Black dollar and build that Black wealth in our families so we can create a legacy and a wealth within our families.
And what is your role as Vice President?
My job is very simple: to help the President execute her goals and her visions for Thursday Network. The Vice President works very closely with the committee chairs to make sure that the programming that we develop is really geared towards ensuring that we meet the goals of the Urban League, as well as making sure we execute those visions of the President.
Now, I do believe as President, you kind of have a dual responsibility. You also serve on the board.
Oh, yeah, I do. I got multiple hats. So as President, each President serves on the Board of Directors for the Greater Washington Urban League. So we have to answer to our President and CEO, who is George H. Lambert Jr. So I sit on those every month and give them an update of what we're doing, as well as create strategies on how we can make both organizations grow and strengthen and expand our reach even more. So it's really good because we meet a lot of different CEOs, and they give us information on how to fundraise, and they're really big fans of us.
So now, being the senior leaders of a Young Professionals Network, it sounds good on paper, but I know behind the scenes that it's always not as pretty as it looks. I mean, people see the nice pictures, they see the packed rooms, but tell us the real scoop. What is it like behind the scenes trying to motivate a couple of hundred young professionals to always be on time and be consistent?
One word: work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, not only getting people out, but keeping people engaged. I think every organization kind of struggles with that. So we have to make sure we're creative in our programming, making sure that it's relevant and relatable to different things that people are dealing with. So we have an excellent committee and excellent membership that want to be involved. Everybody comes from a lot of diverse backgrounds, from education to upbringings to kind of what they focused on in school and what they're doing in their own personal and professional career now. So everybody's always open and pushing to kind of add something to the conversation to make our programming dynamic.
And then our goal too is just to make sure that the members feel like they're heard and that their ideas are being heard. So we do a lot of delegation, making sure our committee members are able to voice their ideas and they're actually executed. And then they become the leaders of that program, which is gives them a sense of ownership, which is reinforcing for them as well. But it's a lot of work.
Now, how has being in these leadership positions helped you grow professionally?
A lot. First of all, being president of Thursday Network, which is 250 plus members, knowing how to delegate and knowing how to say no. That was a big deal for me, knowing just keeping the mission and vision in mind, and knowing that when something ends in alignment, you got to shut it down. But also being open to new things, trying new things instead of always trying to use the same wheel over and over again.
So how did you learn how to say no? Because I think that's a difficult thing for some people.
So I had to reflect on certain things. I'm a thinker. So if something came up early on, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't really go. So I would battle myself, like, do I let them do it? And then I realized I got to answer to someone else. And that's what kind of told me, nope, got to say no, I got to put my foot down. Or allowing them to tailor it so that it can align with our goals and our vision.
Now, within the young professionals world, I look at it as an opportunity to be able to learn and grow, to be that pipeline of leadership to the guild or then to the affiliate. And sometimes I don't know if people in the young professional world see themselves as that pipeline to leadership. Do you think that's something that's understood?
I think it's beginning to be understood. Okay. I think a few years ago it really wasn't clearly put, and then we're just getting our guild now. So a lot of people a few years ago didn't even understand what the guild was. So the guild is actually when Thursday Network phases out. So we are ages 21 to 40, and then when people turn 40, they go to the guild now, which is another us, and their focus is even stronger. So I think a lot of people didn't know about it. So now every time we get a chance, we're mentioning the guild, we're doing partnerships with the guild, events with the guild, so that people can build that awareness so they know they're not just left stranded when they turn 40.
So you earlier you mentioned the pillars that you have, but you also have a mission with Thursday Network, and what is that mission?
Well, part of our overall mission is more so providing us community outreach, civic engagement, and methods in which to empower the community around us. That's pretty much the goal of what Thursday Network specifically stands for, is really trying to impact the community. We do a lot of great work geared specifically toward the community, but also that civic engagement part, really doing that advocacy portion that's very important to us.
All right, we need to take a break. You're watching Rhythm and Justice Television. I am your host, Salim Adofo. We'll be right back.
Economic empowerment, to me, is the absolute key. What defines the American dream? Owning a home. Earn enough money to take care of your needs, take care of the needs of the people you love. So the civil rights movement is all about every American fully participating in the American dream. So if you thought about the civil rights movement's earliest victories in the courts were around education. The whole idea of people obtaining a quality education is so they can get a quality job. I think in the history of the civil rights movement, it was implicit and that part of the disparities in America stem from the inability of people to enter the economic mainstream. Whether they can't get there because of the educational deficiencies, whether they can't get there because of structural and institutional racism, whether they can't get there for any other host of reasons. The truth is that building that bridge to good paying, high quality jobs, or building a bridge to people who want to create businesses and thereby be self-employed is the most important work that the Urban League does.
He's made economic empowerment one of the great symbols of the Urban League movement. The Urban League reaches all the peoples of the urban core. It's about the dispossessed. It's about those who seek a better way.
I think that when people have a job, have earnings that allow them to take care of themselves, their quality of life is going to be better, period, exclamation point, end of sentence.
Welcome back to Rhythm and Justice. I am your host, Salim Adofo. We have mixed it up a little bit. We've brought some more of the leadership of the Thursday Network on. We have Vince, who is the chair of civic engagement.
Yes, sir.
We have Shalon, who is the chair of community programs. And we have Chad, who is the chair of community events.
Yes, sir.
All right, good, because they had to coach me on that, so I didn't mess it up real quick. We're going to start with you, Vince. Tell us where you're from.
I am originally from Florida, just outside of Jacksonville, Florida. I've been in D.C. 2 years this January.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ms. Shalon, where you from?
Originally from Portchester, New York, and my family
upstate?
moved to Delaware. Well, not upstate, right outside the city. We have to clarify.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been in D.C. for about 6 years.
All right, where you from, Brother Chad?
I'm from Queens, New York.
Okay. QB?
Yes,
All right. 718?
Yes, sir.
Now, Vince, you said you chair the Civic Engagement Committee?
Yes, I do.
And what is your responsibilities for that committee?
The Civic Engagement Committee is holistically focused on the legislative agenda of the National Urban League, which changes year to year but has some core fundamental things about it, the Greater Washington Urban League, and really getting our membership engaged in not only this community, DC that we call home, but on issues that range on the local levels, state, DC's not necessarily
Right.
state so much, and the federal level. So we get our membership engaged on those issues, and then we engage them around a host of different topics that we're talking about in our, in our political diaphragm today: criminal justice reform, immigration reform. So we're excited about the work this coming term that we're already looking to do, how we're engaging our member. And one of the things we're really focused on is reaching out to communities more in DC. It's been a focus that we've been trying to get to for a long time, and so it's where we're headed this year.
Well, I'm glad you said you want to reach out to more local communities, because I believe that all politics is local, and that sets the base for us to move forward. What are some of the projects that you have on the horizon?
Well, we're looking forward to coming to visit some of our ANCs in the District of Columbia soon. We're scheduling our very first one in the part of the new year, because we know that ANCs in Washington and the surrounding area are important to communities, particularly communities of color. So we hope to be visiting each of them very soon, and certainly hope we get a chance to visit yours.
Well, for those that don't know, ANC is the Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner, and they serve over the different districts in each ward. Now, you also serve in a mixed capacity here because you two have community service, right? So you have programs and you have events. Can you tell us the difference between the two, please?
Sure. So for community service programs, I help lead Thursday Network's signature programs, including our MLK Day of Service that happens each year, which is a blanket and toiletry drive, as well as our Empowerment Academy, which is our mentoring program, and the I Empower Scholarship, where we provide funds in collaboration with the Greater Washington Urban League for rising freshmen.
And what are your responsibilities?
So on the event side, I do 2 ad hoc community service events per month. So it helps us have dynamic programming. So for 1 month, we could do a clothing drive. Next month, we can do, you know, a food pantries and so forth. And also, we have 2 national days of action. So National Day of Empowerment and National Day of Service, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So those are the things that are under my purview.
So I definitely want to dive into something that you mentioned, which is something close to me. Empowerment Academy. Can you tell us about that, please?
Sure. So for the last few years, we've partnered with a DC public school to have a mentoring program focused on 8th graders. We've had topics on the African diaspora, financial literacy, goal setting, topics that they need to know as they're getting into high school. Since DC is very unique and a lot of students have to apply to the high school of their choice, we try through that curriculum to help set up those students to get where they want to go.
Now, the National Day of Service, does that fall under you also? Oh, that's you. What is the National Day of Service?
So National Day of Service is a national day of action. So what we've done in recent years, we focus on STEAM careers, right? So science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And we know that there is a deficit of Black and brown children within those careers or going towards those careers. So for the STEAM programming, we host a day of programs that encourage students to think towards those careers and also give them exposure to professionals that are currently in those spaces.
Now, what is the National Day of Empowerment? So
National Day of Empowerment is our 2nd day of action. So it focuses on economic empowerment. As we know, we have issues with regarding the circulation of the Black dollar within our community. And also, we just want to use that day to highlight entrepreneurs in our community, whether that be through hosting an expo like we did this year, which we had 22 vendors, or we can have workshops or panel discussions that focus around different topics under that big broad umbrella of economic empowerment.
Now, there's also something called the annual Young Blacks Give Back Month. What is that?
Yes, so for Young Blacks Give Back Month is a month-long celebration and encouragement for volunteerism that we host every May. And our culminating event is Sports Jam, so it's an adult recess where we raise funds for the scholarship program. So every May you can see a lot of Thursday Network members at a variety of events throughout the entire month.
Now, what inspired you to become a member of Thursday Network?
I wanted an opportunity to give back to my community. I've been in DC for 6 years, and in my previous role as a teacher, I gave back in the classroom, so I wanted to have an opportunity to give back more directly to the residents that I live right beside. So Thursday Network was a great opportunity because they're focused on community service as well as civic engagement.
What led you to the organization?
So I think in my generation, I think we oftentimes give a lot of lip service to the issues in our community, and I just reached a point in my life where just enough was enough. I need to put the foot to pavement and actually make a difference with my dollar and with my time. And Thursday Network presented an awesome opportunity to do that with like-minded individuals, and also grow my network as well. So I just a great opportunity that when I became aware of it, and I jumped at it.
What was it like for you, Vince? What led you to the organization?
I was just doing community service one morning in D.C., and I saw all of these folks in these red shirts for MLK Day of Service. Right. I was intrigued. I wanted to get involved. I had just moved to Washington, and I can tell you, as my colleague said, it has been a good, not only networking, but more importantly, we're putting some skin in the game, right? We're putting and paying it forward. And so it's been a wonderful opportunity to get to know wonderful people, but more importantly, to service the community that, at least for the time being, we call home. So
now you all lead some very active and important committees and projects, and so I just think that over time you're going to have to learn how to grow and get better at some of these things. How has being in your position helped you grow professionally?
You know, we've been in our roles, our current roles, just a short time. We started in October, but largely I've been in the organization a year, and I had already done some work prior to serving as chair of this committee. And I can tell you that we're pressed hard. You sat with our president and vice president earlier. Right. They are taskmasters, but both of them are great leaders. They keep us focused. And so you have to learn how to work with others, learn your strengths and weaknesses, and you really learn how to work in a professional environment. But I can tell you this work for me so far has been fun. It doesn't always feel like work. It feels like we're doing something important. And I love the folks I get to work with. So, yeah.
How have you grown professionally?
I've grown in ways in understanding what community service options are out there, because I previously worked for district government, so being able to bring my experience and expertise and connections from there into my work with Thursday Network has been very rewarding, and just really being able to further understand DC and going more from someone who just lives here to someone who's actually a part of the community. So that's something that I've definitely grown in during my time.
So in my profession, I work in health policy, and oftentimes with what we create on a daily basis, we're 15,000 feet up, and we don't really understand the impact at the local level. In my role and as a member, I've gotten to see up close and personal the impact of policy decisions that we've made, and that just gives me another lens of how I approach my work, because it's real, not that it wasn't real to me before, but it takes on a new significance and weight, and I think that directly, particularly in the DMV area, that came to me because of Thursday Network.
Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I am glad that you all are in leadership, and I look forward to having you all come back a year from now so we can see some of the benchmarks and the success of all of the work that you all have done to help make our community better. You're watching Rhythm and Justice Television. I'm your host, Salim Adofo, and we will see you all next week. Peace out.
Today we're just going to educate y'all on ways to eat healthy as well as have a healthy lifestyle. Some quick ideas on fruits. If you do eat fruits, if you like fruit, vegetables or alternative things you could do. Some people eat dairy products and some people don't. Instead of drinking milk, they could do soy milk or they could do almond milk. But today we're just going to do regular fruit smoothies with the juices.
I grew up in a single-parent home. I'm the oldest of three. I'm first one to graduate from high school and college. I'm also a black opera singer. 27 years with the Virginia Opera Company. The Urban League Young Professionals really provides a space for individuals 21 to 40 years old to be able to come together to give back. Individuals my age really kind of feel that. We connect to that. Project Ready takes young folks, middle all the way through high school, showing them different opportunities, giving them mentoring, giving them support, and then preparing them for college and career.
Here's the absolute truth. No one is where they are solely because of themselves. You are not where you are without encouragement, help, and support of others. Whether it's parents and coaches and teachers, whether it's mentors and friends.
When you really think about where Mark comes from and his history of kind of moving through New Orleans and being a young legislator and then being a mayor, that he understands that we are the future of our entire movement. We're able to help individuals, whether or not it's loan modification in their homes or finding employment or jobs, employment closets.
In humanity, I believe one has an absolute obligation to mentor, to support, to encourage, to share with others. So we need to elevate the discussion about the problems and leverage the knowledge economy, the creativity of millennials to lift all the people of American cities up.
He really charges young professionals, get out there, do it. That if you have a commitment for service and a passion for people, there's a space for you. When we say empowering communities and changing lives, it's just that. When we empower our community, we know that the end result are changed lives.